Disney has given us a first look at some of the 100th anniversary merch. We got another lawsuit to talk about, and it looks like Disney might have a win with the Anaheim City Council. All coming up right now. Every time there's something to celebrate at the Disneyland Resort, you can bet that there's going to be a line of merchandise to go along with it. And of course, we've got a big celebration coming up in January. The Walt Disney Company is celebrating its 100th anniversary. And Disneyland is going to be home to a year-long party. And that party starts with the merchandise. We'll start with these Mickey and Minnie ears. Very stylish and tasteful. Lurex ears and headband exterior, accented with platinum color appliques. Purple bow with a Disney 100 logo centerpiece. The Mickey ears are purple and platinum tone embroidered with images of Mickey and Minnie inside and 100 years of Disney embroidered on the back. These, though, these are choice. Those are the Mickey and Minnie platinum ears. Padded black velour ears with a dipped and dripping reflective metal effect. I mean, I get why they look the way they do, it being a platinum anniversary, but man, I'm just not a fan of this. This is a hard pass for me. And at $175 for the Minnie ears and $195 for the Mickey ears, yikes. Though they are delivered in this very handsome box and are limited edition. Here's the 100th Spirit jersey. Puffy Glitter Ink logo. There will be one for Walt Disney World and one for Disneyland. Puffy Glitter Ink D icon on the chest. All over multicolored airbrush dye with metallic foil fireworks. And the Sensational Six celebrating in vibrant color on the back, decked out in their 100th purple and whites, I actually really like these. I don't normally like the celebration costumes that they get. They usually go a little too far. They make them a little too much, a little too extra. I love the color combination, the purple and whites, and it's very tasteful. I do like this quite a bit. Here's another ultra platinum piece, the Minnie Mouse Loungefly backpack. And here we got a very handsome array of bags from Dooney and Burke, all over pattern, featuring the gang again in their purple and whites. This time it's the Sensational Six plus Chip and Dale and Tinkerbell. These I really like. Matching pullover and sweatpants in the 100th purple. The front features screen art of Tinkerbell, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, and Chip and Dale, along with the Disney 100th logo in metallic flecked fabric. The sweatpants have a large Disney 100 logo and 100 Years of Wonder screen art along the length of one leg, which I think that's really neat. I kind of like the look of that. That looks cool. Here's a fleece throw featuring Mickey, Goofy, and Donald, giving some really big, Great Gatsby vibes here. Matching throw pillow with screen art of Tinkerbell and Disneyland embroidered on the front and the Disney 100 logo on the back. And finally, for the ornament lovers out there, Minnie, Mickey, Goofy, Daisy, and Donald, all in their wonderful Disney 100th purple and whites. These are all available on Shop Disney right now, and I think soon, if not already, at Disneyland. I know some of this stuff is available at Disneyland already, either on Main Street or in the World of Disney. Hoping to cover this soon as part of our coverage of the 100th anniversary. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm getting something of a feeling of the 60th anniversary, the Disneyland 60th anniversary party that they had. That was amazing. That was so much fun. Do you guys remember? Do you remember they did? They were running Paint the Night, Fantasmic, and the Fireworks nightly, twice nightly. They were doing 2 nights, 2 shows each, 6 shows every night during this. I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was just for the summer, but I just remember how insane that was. There was something happening all the time, and I think that they debuted another fireworks show that week. Also, it was an impressive party that 60th was. I don't know if this one will quite match that, but I'm feeling a little bit of that. So I'm really looking forward to the 100th anniversary. To help celebrate that, I might just be looking at a couple of these 100th anniversary merchandise items. Some of those I really, really like. Can't wait to party, but before we get into that party, let's talk about another lawsuit that Disney has on their hands. A private Disney investor has sued Disney in a Delaware court demanding the company turn over internal records regarding the company's response to Florida's Parental Rights and Education Bill, known in the media as the Don't Say Gay Bill. The investor stating that Disney's response to this has created far-reaching financial risks for the company and risks for Disney shareholders. Now, the suit doesn't appear to be asking for any damages. They're just asking for those documents, which, by the sound of things, is something that Delaware courts are are apt to do. So there's a possibility that they might get these documents. It's kind of a weird thing. And the more I report on these things, the more I learn about this, the more curious it becomes. I'm curious what it is that he's hoping to discover, and I'm curious if he does discover where it would go next. Like, what is the end game here? If there's anybody out there who is familiar with this type of lawsuit or knows about this, I would love to hear from you guys, because this fascinates me and I want to know more, because I don't feel like I know enough. I want to know more about what is happening here. Until then, let's get into something that I've been meaning to cover for a couple of weeks now, ever since the November elections. Not the national elections, but the elections right here in the city of Anaheim, where there were 3 city council seats up for election and the mayor's seat. When we spoke on this topic last, we suggested that it's likely, possible, that the city of Anaheim, these November elections could be going through a reform phase. With the scandal surrounding the mayor's office, one where we saw the mayor, Harry Sadu, resign amidst a corruption scandal, it is often the case when something like that happens that voters vote in the opposite direction politically from wherever the scandal came from. Harry Sadu was conservative politically and was obviously a proponent, a supporter of the Disney company. You guys all remember his speech on top of that hotel building during the lockdown. Infamous speech. And so the fear, if you're a supporter of Disney, the fear was that people would vote in the opposite direction of that. And that's exactly what happened. Up for election was Trevor O'Neill, who was the mayor pro tem. He took over for Harry Sadu when he resigned. He was conservative and was endorsed by Harry Sadu, along with Ashley Aitken, who was considered the reform candidate, plus 2 others. Ashley Aitken won, and by considerable margin, actually. Now, we're talking about this today because obviously that could affect Disney's relationship with the city of Anaheim, which is already, it hasn't been the best. The past few years, as I've been covering this, they have not had the best relationship with the city of Anaheim. So speaking strictly from a Disney perspective, this is not great news. This is not great news for the Disney company. But there is some good news regarding this election for Disney. There are 6 total seats in the Anaheim City Council. 3 of them were up for re-election this November. And 2 of those 3 were won by Disney-backed candidates. The 3rd seat was won by a reform candidate who defeated another Disney-backed councilperson. Now, 1 seat of those 6 remains vacant, which means there's actually only 5 filled seats. The other 2 that were not up for re-election this year were both considered conservative and or in some way, Disney-friendly or backed by Disney. That means that with the 2 voted in this November, plus the 2 that were already seated at the city council, one could say that Disney has a 4-to-1 voting majority among the city council members presently. Now, again, we're speaking strictly on whether or not a candidate could be defined as friendly to the Disney company. It goes without saying that each and every one of these candidates is far more than just their relationship or their position on the Disney company. But as far as this conversation goes, and as far as the Disney company goes, it's a favorable situation. So if I had to say if this was a good election year or a bad election year for the Disney company, in spite of the fact that a reform candidate won for the mayor's office, in spite of that, I do still think this is a net win for the Disney company because most of those issues that are voted on by the council. They're not unilaterally decided on by the mayor. And by the way, speaking of Reedy Creek, this is exactly why the Reedy Creek situation in Florida is such a big deal. Disney does not have to deal with any of that stuff in Florida because there is no city council that they have to go through. There's no city council votes. There's no mayor. There's no decisions. There's no anything. Disney just decides what they want to do, and then they do it. I'm looking forward to seeing what measures come up, what happens in the next year or so with respect to the Disney company. It's going to affect a little bit. I wonder how this is going to affect Disneyland Forward. Now, Disneyland Forward, I've been saying for a long time, it's not as much of a thing as people want to say that it is. Disneyland Forward, in its concept, in its basis, is nothing more than a bargaining tool for the Disney company with the city of Anaheim in order to get the city of Anaheim to change how they zone certain parcels that Disney owns so that they can be more flexible and do the things that they want to do. It's a promise from the Disney company that says, hey, city, hey, Anaheim, if you change the way these parcels are zoned, then we can build this really cool thing. But we can't do anything like that until you do that. So it's not so much a plan that is in place that they're going to start working on immediately. We're a long way from that. Now, how this affects, this new council, the makeup of this council and the mayor's office, how that affects Disneyland Forward, hard to say. we're still a long way. We're still a long way from anything like that happening. I would say cool your heels a little bit on the idea that it could be happening anytime soon. But we'll see. We'll see. We're going to keep our ears to the ground and listen for anything that comes out of the city council offices and the mayor's office to see if there's any sort of, I don't know, clues, hints as the direction of Disneyland forward. Now, that's it for the regular news. Let's close with a quick look again at the reservation calendar. This is something that we've been paying very close attention to in the time leading up to the blockout period for Magic Keys. We looked at these about 3 days ago. Let's see how things look today in comparison. For the Inspire Key, things have not improved much. You can get a reservation for today, but that's about it. I do think there's a reasonable chance that this is a reservation drop by Disney, though, not cancellations, because that 13th has looked like that for about a day. So normally if it's a cancellation, it disappears right away. So stay tuned today to see if the 14th comes up sometime later tonight, perhaps, if you're into that kind of thing. The single day, I know some of you are into that. I'm into watching the calendar. The single day, single park calendar has actually gotten worse, I think. You can again get a reservation for today, but Disneyland is still unavailable until the next year for the one park ticket. There are otherwise now 10 days completely sold out, and I suspect if we were to check in on this later today, there might be even fewer dates available. Meanwhile, the Park Hopper, Disney's plan seems to be paying off a little. Meanwhile, the Park Hopper, Disney's plan seems to be paying off here a little. When we checked last, we observed that if you wanted to go to Disneyland before Christmas, you had to get a Park Hopper, where most dates were still available. 3 days later, and dates are starting to fall off where you can start at Disneyland. It also does not look like they've added any for the week prior to the Magic Key blockout period. By the way, if you're wondering why that week prior to the week of Christmas is more blocked out, there's more sold out dates for that week than there are for the actual week of Christmas, you would think the week of Christmas would have more demand. But this is due to the fact that Magic Keys were available for that first week, the week before. Take out the Magic Keys from that equation, you can start selling more single-day tickets, which is why there's more available for the week of Christmas. But those are starting to fall off as well. Big picture, I mean, we still got a little bit of time left before the holidays hit, the actual week of Christmas hits. But it does look like, again, I feel like they're at least close to what Disney was after in terms of their expectations in selling tickets and Magic Keys. I do hope that you guys did get some reservations. I hope to see you in the parks. Let's meet on Main Street by the Christmas tree. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. If you like our show and want to show you support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked. There was a part of me while I was saying the reservation system, while I was saying those words to you, and then kind of wrapping up at the end there, I was thinking, God, I really wish that it wasn't going. It's not going great for Disney, the calendar, but it's going fairly well, I think. And there was a part of me, there is a part of me that wished it wasn't. I've always been, I want Disney to do well. Disneyland. I want Disneyland to do well, especially. I like the parks busy because it means that people are enjoying themselves and everybody's getting an opportunity to go, and it means that there's good show happening. But man, there's a part of me that's like wishing that I feel so wrong. I don't like the reservation system, and I feel like it's manipulative, and I don't like being thought of as a pawn to be pushed around on a board. And the more I look into this, and I just don't get the feeling. I get the feeling that it may be here to stay. I thought there was hope with Iger on board that they may change their ways, but I feel like he's probably been convinced in some way that it's a good idea. Because obviously they can do things with this. It is, as Chapek said, the very basis of everything that they do in the parks. And it has nothing to do with the things that a lot of people, about keeping, capacities to a minimum. I could talk about that forever, but the way that they can move people around, they're doing it. I mean, you look at that calendar, watch and see how dates drop in and come out. You know, they can almost precisely tell or predict what kind of guests they want in the park by manipulating the reservation system. Chapek has said this. Surgical precision is the word he used. And it just bothers me. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You know what I mean? I'm still going to go to Disneyland. It has made me those second guess going to the park during that week of, you know, when they're blocked out. I had thought about going one day, and I still may, paying, you know, like full price. I still might, but I'm having second thoughts now. Like, I don't want to encourage that. Maybe I go to Knott's Berry Farm instead. Maybe I go to Universal or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If they open that calendar up a little bit more, it'll be a clue that things aren't going exactly as they'd hoped. But if it doesn't, man, I really want to see what the park is like that week of Christmas. The 23rd. I want to know what the park looks like on the 23rd. I really do. Will I be willing to pay $244 to do that? Ay, ay, ay. Oh, just to know? Because it's not like I need to go to Disneyland because I want to see Disneyland at Christmas. You know, I've been there. I know. I've already been, a half a dozen times. The only reason why I would go on the 23rd is just to know what it looks like. That's so sick. That's so sick. Anyway, I guess we'll find out. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked if we do a video from Disneyland on December 22nd or 23rd or whatever date I can get, because they're falling off the calendar, man. I'm playing a game of Russian roulette for that week. Stay Fresh Baked.